In this video, we're going to apply the sprig mold. So these sprigs have had a chance to dry. They're now leather hard. So what we're going to do is cut off some of the extra material with them flat on the table. You want to take your sharpened knife and just pull that off. With all of the dry clay that you'll be producing, you can soak it in your bucket of water to soften it up. And at the end of class, if it's soft enough, you can put it back in the soft clay bin. If it's too stiff, put it in the bin. There's a gray trash bin that says stiff dry clay, and I'll rehydrate that when I come back. So for all of our projects, we're using all of the reclaim, because we just have too much clay. And we need to work through it before we open up any new boxes. Now, if your piece got too dry, if it's bone dry and has lost its moisture content and it looks ashen, then that's a problem. So you'll have to rehydrate it by dipping it in the bucket of water and letting it sit for a little bit to lose that mushy layer of slip. So these things can't be too thick or else they can explode. So hopefully you get to just at the right stage when it's still soft, you know, but it's leather hard so that it doesn't deform. So with your fettling knife, you can cut towards your hand without worrying about hurting yourself. This one got a little stiff, so I'm going to turn it sideways and really gently kind of cut through. Oops, yeah, it's a little too dry, so this one broke. That's okay. We can use a little slip and attach it to the pot. So it's still a good sprig. So this is what we call low relief. It's not quite three-dimensional, but it has enough texture that it's like a sculpture built from a two-dimensional plane. Okay, and I'm just cutting out that inner space to make it a little bit more realistic and smoothing those things out, getting rid of any of those little sharp pieces of clay. You can use your pen tool to clean things out that are very fine and hard to get to. So we're going to make a little bit of slip here. And this got really stiff, so I'm just giving it a quick dip in the water. And I'm not going to fuss too much with it because we'll actually apply it onto the pot. Oops. Okay. So what we're going to do here is score or scratch using a fork or a pin tool. You can use your pin tool this way to expose the softer clay underneath that drier clay surface. You're then going to make plenty of slip on one side, and you'll also want to prepare your pot. So it's important that you pick a section on your pot that's still nice and soft, and preferably one with a flat plane. So a plane is just how we refer to space, or the angle of a work of art in space. And with dry hands, you want to pick up the sprig so that you don't distort all of that great texture. And you want to press it starting from one side and squeezing it onto the vessel, just like that. So let's bring this a little closer so that you can see. How's that? Okay, good. So we're going to make sure that there's no space. So we need to press out any air. It's important that your sprig is not more than 1/4 inch. If it is, you're going to have to hollow the form out from the opposite side. So to avoid that, just make sure your sprigs are really kind of short. Okay. And then you can use your wooden tool. Let's see, I don't have one here, so you can use your fingertips or your wooden tool. I'll use the edge of this just to get rid of the black line between the two, or to get rid of the space so that it's well attached. Okay. And then you can take a soft bristle brush just to kind of soften up that line or any marks that were made. So it's important to really attach it well so that it doesn't fall off your piece. So here's another sprig that's ready. I'm going to just dip it in the water because it got a little drier than I wanted it to. And we're going to score the backside. That means to scratch, being gentle with little thin areas. And then we're going to make plenty of slip. The more the better. We'll prepare our pot the same way. And I need to dry my hands before I touch it. We're going to start on one end, and I'm pressing from the inside out as well, and pressing it down onto the form. So you want to be careful with your detail. Oops, I lost the tail. Okay, we'll reattach it and blend it together with a little slip. Use your fingernail or your wood modeling tool to attach them. And use them decoratively. Use them to create a pattern or to tell a story. They can be clustered together, separate, however you want it to be. Now, this sprig is kind of thick. That's too thick. So we're going to cut it right down to here. Nice and easy, so that we don't cut off the ends. And maybe hold it so that it doesn't rip. Oop. It's good to put down and have a dry surface so that they don't stick and then rip when you try to take them off the table. And you're going to use your knife to kind of fine-tune them, refine them, get rid of all the extra clay that you don't need. It's really quite a fun process. And it's a way to get great detail without having to put in so much time. And we'll cut out that little hole. We have another sprig. We're going to clean it up a little bit. I'm using a little water on the pen tool to soften up that opening, get rid of any sharp bits or burrs. And we're going to score. Make plenty of slip. You can use your finger or a stiff bristle brush. Dry your hands really well. Pick a spot on your pot. Make plenty of slip. The clay has to be soft. We're basically making both of these separate drier pieces of clay the same consistency in terms of how much water they contain. Okay. If one piece of clay is too dry and you adhere it onto a wet piece, it's going to just crack and fall off because the clay is shrinking and contracting at a different rate. But when you make slip between the two, you're making it so that the two pieces of clay are the same wetness and they'll adapt well. So there you have it. That's how you apply sprigs, which are low relief, and you want to ensure that they stay on. So you can use one of your wooden tools for small areas. or even a knife. Whatever you have handy works. Okay. All right, great. So happy making, and I wish you well, and you have to take your time with this project. And I think I might, well, we'll see how much you're able to accomplish within 2 weeks, and maybe we'll give you another week in class. But your works will only be 10 inches tall, so this is rather large. You can make a small version, okay? All right. Make good work, and I'll see you soon. Bye.